Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Hands-on SAP Dev with me, DJ Q Macro. It's great to be back. It's been a long time. So thank you everybody for joining this first live stream of 2024. So hi to Vladimir's, an old friend of the stream, and lots of old friends actually. So Luis, have you got your large mug of coffee ready? It's 5 a.m. at your time, isn't it? Bom dia to you, Guda, to Thomas, and buenos dias, Antonio, my friend and colleague Antonio. Santiago, buenos dias. Michael, good morning. Helmut, moin moin. To Braunschweig, Brunswick in North Germany. Abhijit, hi to Abhijit in Bangalore. Welcome everybody. This is this is amazing. Good morning, Henry. So I apologise. I'm just recovering from oh dear, 2 or 3 weeks of flu, and you know what? I've been getting up in the morning, and I'm on my own on the boat here. The narrowboat at the moment. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a second. But because I've not spoken a word this morning, you know, as soon as you start speaking, I don't know, you get ill again. I don't know. Hey, hello, Chanakia. Chanakia. Is that how you pronounce your name? I've probably butchered that to death. Stefano, good morning to Barcelona. Madhav, good morning. Arif's Learning Lab. Hello in Bangkok as well. Hello, DJ the OG. That's quite hard to say. And Matthias, how's the sticker game going on your laptop? I think Matthias always impresses me with the number of stickers on his huge laptop. Good morning to Matthias in Dortmund. I'm super excited. This is, like I say, the first live stream of 2024. We're back with a vengeance, and we got a new design, new scenes and layouts, thanks to another one of my wonderful friends and colleagues, Nico Schönteich. And oh, good morning, David and Lucas. Good morning to Poland. Excellent, Abhijit as well. Oh, Abhijit, good to see you as well. So fantastic. Now, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, just wondering. I'm broadcasting. Broadcasting, is that the right word? Streaming. From a new location. So I think the last live streams we all did together were in sort of late summer, early autumn, early fall. Bethavel, good morning, buenos dias to you in Spain, in August, September. And I was, what was I doing then? I can't remember. Anyway, now I think this is for me, this is the first live stream. Let me just switch to the main scene, the first live stream from a new location. And that new location, you can sort of see here, open image, new tab maybe. You can sort of see that's my new location. So I live on a narrowboat on the English and Welsh canal system. And in fact, I am right now, the thing you can see behind me, the window you can see behind me, is, well, it's a pair of windows on this little duck, so-called duck hatch. So that's exactly where I'm sitting at the moment. There's my internet connection. There's my 4G, 5G omnidirectional antenna. So I'm coming to you via that antenna. So there we go. And inside, so if you were to open these duck hatch doors, you would see, this is where I'm sitting right now, you would see, this is where I am. So I've got quite a nice space. And so this is literally where I'm sitting right now. I've got my Chromebook monitoring the chat, but also monitoring my containers. I've got my main screen. I've got my Elgato key light, my camera and everything. So yeah, there we go. So it's great to see everybody. It's great to see everybody. Saurabh, Krishna, Phil, good day. Phil to Down Under. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So what are we going to do? Well, let me explain a little bit more first. We've got... That's us right now. And in 2024, it's going to be even more exciting. And I'm looking forward to this as much as you, because we're not only live streaming on Fridays as usual, but also, thanks Luis, thanks Phil, but also, in fact, I'll share my Hachyderm profile anyway. I've got a little chat here. Whoa. Oh, by the way, there we go. We're going to be referring to that URL there. There is the thing with the picture on it. And also there's the post on my blog where you can see the picture of literally where I'm sitting right now. Anyway, Anyway, let's close that. So Antonio is in the chat as well. I know you said hello before, Antonio, but say hello again. Ian, good morning, Ian, fellow runner. Fantastic, perfect setup. Well, you know, it's you know what, these fairy lights behind me. Of course, I've got them still from having them up at Christmas, but I've put them across there. I was inspired by another live streamer that I watch a lot, which is Brett Fisher. In fact, if I go to here, Brett Fisher, there we go, Docker and DevOps. Let me share that as well.
I'm back.
Oh, he's back. I really love this this channel. Brett's got a lot of stuff on Docker, DevOps, Kubernetes, Swarm, everything. Hi, Antonio. There we go. Nice little segue to CPU memory graphics. Yes, oh yes. Good morning, Antonio, to Bom Dia in Portugal. There we go. So we got Antonio also live streaming next week. On what day is it? It's on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's midweek, isn't it? So there we go. So let's have a look. Live in 5 days. I think it's Tuesday, isn't it, Antonio? Let us know, Antonio, when it is. I can't work out which day in my head right now. So we've got a lot of things coming. So with the new design as well, Antonio's done a live stream already. That's why it's number 2, but that's why ours, for example, number 1. This is the first episode of a new series. Hussein, good idea to you in Istanbul. Welcome. Himanshu, hello as well. So this is the first, number 1, episode of a new series where we're going back to basics. So I think I've had, well, all the developer advocates have had feedback from doing code jams, from tutorial participants, from Devtoberfest. That the live stream's on Wednesday. Thanks, Antonio. Antonio's live stream is on Wednesday. Make sure you go over here and subscribe to the channel. I'm on. This is the SAP Developers ID now. But subscribe to the channel and then hit notifications and everything, so you get the notification. Volkan, good morning to you as well, and welcome. So I've lost what I was going to say now. Oh yeah, so a lot of folks have asked for a sort of a back to basics and more fundamentals on CAP. Okay, we have done on Hands-on SAP Dev a number of sort of mini series on various aspects of CAP, sort of quite niche things like manage. In fact, you can, if you want to look at those, we have the playlists here. Where are the playlists here? For example, I'm hoping I can find them straight away. Yeah, so we did a live stream series on managed associations, and we also did a live stream series on service integration. So those are quite sort of focused. But really what we're going to be doing in this new series is just going back to basics and starting from absolute scratch, and dispelling any fears or questions you may have. So that's the other thing. During this episode and all future episodes, and I'm sure Antonio would say the same thing as well with his live streams and all my other developer advocate colleagues who may or may not be doing live streams in the future in 2024. The whole point for you and for me is that you can ask questions. We can interact in the chat, because I'm monitoring the chat down here. So you saw that little Chromebook thing on my desk. I've got the chat there now, so I can see people saying hello and everything. So there's no question too silly to ask, okay? I might not be able to answer it, but we can work it out together. Amit, hello, Amit, and welcome. So it's all about CAP, SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. And what I thought we could do just today, this first episode, is start really simple. And I wanted to start with a setup. It's very warm, actually. I've put the fire on, but it's quite warm now. In fact, shall I open a window? Maybe not. Oh, that door there we go, that's better. So that's the door to the bathroom, by the way. So if you look, in fact, if you look at the, this is just completely going off piece, but if you go to my blog and look at this latest blog post, that's where I am. So right now, open image, new tab. That's where I am. There's my desk and there's the monitor there, and I've just opened that door to the bathroom. There we go. Anyway, that's just too much information. If we can do this so that everybody can follow along, either live while we do it, And some of those folks who are crazy or silly or brave enough to do that would be amazing. Let me know. But I want to do this in a way that everybody can play along. Now, the web page we've got up here, Welcome to CAP, the Cloud Application Programming Model. This is known colloquially, internally as, well, I think some people pronounce it CAP.io. I pronounce it CAP.io, which is sort of not really authentic. The idea is that it's a play on the Italian word capire. Is anybody from Italy here who can correct my pronunciation? But capire is obviously to understand, to grok. Okay, and the whole point of CAP.io is that it's documentation that helps you understand CAP, right? So, and it's a wonderful resource. So we're going to be going through over the next few episodes the getting started. Okay, partly because, you know, I can't think of anything better because this is great. Partly because I think these days, I think we sort of need, certainly me, I'm speaking for myself, but let me know in the chat, we need sometimes a reason to go and stare at the documentation and work through it. So we're going to be working through this documentation together because it's awesome. The other thing though is that, hey, Poke Geek, or is it Pokey Geek? Is that as in Pokemon, or Poke as in Peek and Poke from the home computers of the 1980s? Let me know. But hello anyway. So the point is that we've got this getting started section, and we've jumped here, getting started in a nutshell, from the big get started button here. However, okay, all this getting started here assumes that you've got the appropriate tools and libraries and everything set up. RTM, Antonio. Antonio says RTM. I think you've missed out a letter there, Antonio. I think that letter might be F. And I think we're allowed to say RTFM. Maybe not spell it out loud, but yeah, RTFM. You know what? Capire. Oh, so Luis is saying capire. Excellent. Yeah. So the Jumpstart guide, which is this Jumpstart development, there's the one before. This is like the description of what anybody needs to do to set up for local development. And I'll say up front as well, I said this in the, we wrote this in the description of this live stream episode, that we're going to be focusing on Node.js. There has been a question about Java. I'm not a Java person. Maybe we can get somebody on to sort of cover some of the Java aspects because it's also awesome. It's Pokemon itself, PokeGeek. Excellent. There's probably only a few of us around here that are old enough to remember peek and poke, those commands on the 8-bit computers of the 1980s, where you could read and write memory locations directly. Anyway, so we're going to be doing Node.js. Now, if you have a look at the table of contents here, if you want to set up for local development, right, which is what we're going to do, because one of the beauties of CAP is that you can develop it in the cloud, for example, using SAP Business Application Studio or dev space there, or a code space on GitHub or whatever, right? But quite often, and embracing the beauty of this sort of fast dev turnaround, you want to be able to develop locally on your own machine. However, I was thinking, if you want to install for local set up for local development, any of you out there, including me, on your machine, whether it's a Windows, a Linux, a Mac device, you know, whatever, Chromebook, Chrome OS, all these different things, you need to install Node.js. You need to install the CDS DK. We'll talk about what that is shortly. You need to install Git, SQLite. If you're doing Java CAP, you need to install Java and Maven, and you need to install Visual Studio Code, VS Code. I mean, you can use any editor you want. VS Code is what Capire promotes because it's a pretty awesome editor, and it's available for all platforms. And also, of course, the SAP Business Application Studio dev spaces are also based on the open source components of VS Code. Code OSS, I think it's called. Okay, so I think when was it, Antonio? I can't remember. Maybe 2 or 3, 4 months ago, they switched from Eclipse Theia as a basis for the dev spaces in the Business Application Studio to Code OSS, and it's awesome. And it allows for a little bit of a better sharing of extensions between actual VS Code and dev spaces in the Business Application Studio. And also, of course, GitHub code spaces are basically also the same as dev spaces in the Business Application Studio, or vice versa. So it makes sense to have a VS Code based setup. However, you know, having spoke to many of you during code jams, a lot of you have, you know, laptop configurations that maybe prevent you from installing these sort of things, and you don't want to, or you're not allowed to install things. So what I've decided, and also because I'm obsessed with everything in containers, what I want to do is go on this little journey with you with the minimum footprint possible on your actual laptop, so that you can do all sorts of things without messing up your laptop, installing new things, having to maybe have admin rights and so on and so forth. So all I'm going to require you to install, if you want to follow along, is VS Code and also a container engine. Now, this is not a container series, so we're not going to get into the vagaries of, you know, Docker desktop versus Podman desktop versus LXC, all these different container technologies. For the purposes of learning, I use Docker desktop, okay? And for anyone learning personally, you know, this is free. So it's great. Now, if you're using it for your corporate work, for your client, for your employer, there may be a contract in place with Docker to use Docker Desktop with a licensed version, but from a personal learning perspective, you know, that's what I use. And it's awesome. I mean, again, like you say, you can install Podman Desktop and use the same sort of thing, but I'm going to be using Docker Desktop. So all you need is Docker Desktop, VS Code, and that's it. Okay. So with that in mind, let me show you what I've set up for us so that we can start on this journey. Helmut containers, thumbs up, excellent. Nico, good morning, Nico. Nico, how come you haven't got a spanner next to your name? We'll talk about that later, but you should have admin access as your own personal ID. Anyway, Fulcan, yes. Does anyone have experience in building? Oh, sorry, I missed that question. Does anyone have experience in building a CAP software as a service without any DB, just projections on public APIs? Yes, and Nico answers, it's literally as simple as not using a DB. Yes, I mean, it's a beautifully flippant but well-meaning reply, but basically that's exactly what it is, what Nico says. So effectively, you know, to run a CAP service, you can either have a persistence layer, and that persistence layer can be, you know, anything like, you know, SQLite, but there are sort of things to think about when you're using SQLite, which is a file-based SQL storage system, to something like Postgres, to something like SAP HANA, SAP HANA Cloud, and so on. You can also run an in-process, in-memory SQLite database for sort of, you know, ephemeral data, if you're just doing sort of calculation services and so on, or you don't need any database at all. And the other thing is that you can build a CAP service that is effectively a proxy. So you integrate other services. We've got a code jam on this. We've got a service integration with CAP. That is all about bringing in the definition of an API, a public API in this case, an S/4HANA API, and then sort of wrapping that with some new entity definitions, some schema definitions to sort of minimize the exposure that we want to control of that public API in a new API, sort of putting a veneer on it. Okay, and there's no database involved there, right? So yeah, absolutely. Super straightforward with CAP. You'll find that one of the beauties of CAP is that, what's that phrase? It makes simple things, easy things simple, and hard things possible. Something like that. Perl, easy, simple, hard, possible. It's from, oh yeah, making the easy things easy and the hard things possible. There we go. Inspired by the creator of one of the most beautiful programming languages in the world, Perl, of course. And that's what CAP is for me as well. Okay. So there we go. Oh, so there's a brilliant discussion between Nico and Volkan. I'll let that continue because what I want to show you is in, oh, by the way, the SAP Devs, the latest developer news is out. Let me share that. Oh, yes, let me share that URL there across here. Bang, there's the latest SAP developer news. Now, let me go across to this ridiculously small, deliberately small starter. Okay, it's got a README, which is literally just that title. So that's useless. And then it's got this directory called .dev container, which is like a well-known name, and VS Code will recognize that when it starts up and says, oh, there's something in here that's important in terms of running within a container. Okay, so this will allow us to all read from the same page and all do the things together. So all you need is VS Code installed. I've got VS Code started up here. It's a completely blank slate. I've also got Docker running. Now, one of the things in here, one of the files is this Docker file. This Docker file basically will give all of us the facilities we need, the tools that we need, that is described effectively on this page here. So we'll have Node.js, which is, in fact, let me put that side by side. There we go. We've got, there we go. That's better. So we have the Node.js image from Microsoft, the Microsoft Container Registry. It's the Node 20 container image, okay? And we also then install some tools. It's basically based upon, I think, a Debian, a Debian distribution of Linux. Now, the other interesting thing is that the container that you will have, regardless of your underlying operating system, whether it's Mac OS or Windows or Chrome OS or whatever, the operating system that's running in your container or in your dev space in SAP Business Application Studio is Linux, because Linux is everywhere. The cloud is just made up of Linux machines. Okay, so the sooner you embrace the one true operating system, Unix, Linux, etc. That's my personal opinion, of course. The better. So we're using a Debian-based operating system. You don't need to know this, by the way. This is just giving you the background, because what I want to do is leave no stone unturned in terms of do this, do that, do the other. I want you to understand what we're doing. By the way, let me know in the comments whether this is interesting, useful, whether it's too much information, not enough information. More questions. RHL. Oh, is that Red Hat Linux, Arif? Is that Red Hat Linux? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, cool. So we're going to install 3 tools. Curl, of course, the command line HTTP client, which is awesome. Git, so we can do some source code control, and SQLite 3, because at some stage, not today, at some stage, we're going to want to use SQLite as a persistence store when we're developing our CAP service. Okay. By the way, does anybody know why I'm deliberately using the word CAP service instead of CAP app? Okay, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think the difference is between a service and an app, from a microservice perspective, from a cloud software as a service perspective, from a CAP perspective, from a CAP directory perspective. There's a bit of a hint there. Let me know. And then once we've installed curl, git, and SQLite 3, which is the command line tool, because then with SQLite 3 we can actually look inside the SQLite database files and say, oh, there's a table, oh, there's some rows in that table. Then we've got to set the user to nodes, because we don't want to run as root in the container. Then we're going to install this thing here. Okay, so for those not familiar with what NPM is and what Node is, so Node is effectively JavaScript, but it's JavaScript on the server side, and it's a little bit more than that in terms of, it's an asynchronous event-based engine, and there's a package manager, just like there is for many other languages generally. So CPAN is the package manager or the package system for Perl, and I can't think of Cargo is the package manager for Rust, you know, all that sort of thing. So NPM, Node Package Manager, is the package manager for Node. And the CAP engine and tools, development tools, are all available as an NPM package. And they're all prefixed. You can see this at SAP here, at SAP / this is like a namespace. They're all prefixed with at SAP. So these are, you know, you can tell these come from SAP. So if we were to go to NPM, I've got a little, you know, Chrome search thing here. SAP, in fact, at SAP CDS. Let's do SAP CDS first of all, and not CDS-DK. There we go. So we've got, there's the Node package manager. Nice little playful thing here. Each time you go there, it's got a little different meaning for NPM. Nitrogen peroxide monoxide. What's it going to say next? Refresh. Oh, maybe it doesn't change. I don't know. Who knows? CAP. So Utkarsh says CAP services are microservices and app is a service. And yes, exactly. I mean, an app is a service, an app is a service, is an app. What in my brain, when I say service, a CAP service, I'm thinking headless. I'm thinking a service with no front end, with no GUI, with no UI5, Fiori, Vue, React, Angular, whatever web front end. I'm just thinking of a service in terms of, for example, an OData service, a headless service that then other things can attach to and consume. Okay, and with CAP, quite often, folks will use CAP to build headless services, but also CAP has the facility to allow you to put together a front end, and CAP will also serve that. Okay, especially when you're building and in this sort of tight loop development cycle locally, and we'll see that with the three different folders. There's a hierarchy, the triumvirate of folders, of directories: app, serve, and DB. So we'll come on to that. Okay, so here we go. We can see SAP CDS, and there's also SAP. Oh, Rising. There we go. Hey, Martin. Hey, SAP CDS and SAP CDS DK. Okay, SAP Cloud Application Programming Model. Oh, do I have to hit search? SAP CDS DK. There we go. Oh, it's a direct hit. Now, the difference between SAP CDS and SAP CDS DK. Notice here, there's SAP CDS. SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, CDS for Node.js. Think of this package as the package you need, the runtime package, the lean, fat-free CAP runtime package. Okay, so when you deploy your application to the cloud, your CAP service is going to need Louis, yeah, do I need to install something? Yes, you need to, yeah, you need to install Docker Desktop and VS Code, and that's it. You don't need to install Node, NPM, Git, anything else, just Docker Desktop and VS Code. And that gives us the beauty of abstracting everything, so you're not messing up your own personal computer, your laptop, whatever, with stuff that you don't want otherwise. Okay. So this is the lean, fat-free runtime for when your service is running in the cloud. But for when you're developing, you want all of that lean, fat-free runtime, plus the extra fat and the extra goodness and the beauty and the tools that allow you to develop in the most efficient way possible. Can anybody tell? So a classic, for those who have been developing with CAP already, there's a command that you run when you're sort of halfway through development, and you sort of, you're in this sort of flow of making modifications and seeing those changes in your service. But you run this CDS command, CDS something. What is that command that you run? That command, the one I'm thinking of, the one I'm hoping somebody will say, that command is part of SAP CDS DK. It's part of the development kit, because it makes no sense to have that restarting command, this sort of development tight loop cycle in the cloud when your app is just running headless service. So there's the difference. The CDS DK is the development kit, with CDS in it, but lots of other tools. And then SAP CDS itself is just the sort of the runtime version. Does that make sense? I've gone a bit overboard there. Okay, but what we need to do, because we're going to be developing, we want to install the SAP CDS DK. Harshita, welcome Harshita, one of the many lovely people who partook and was very vocal, which is brilliant, in the Developer Challenge APIs. In fact, one of the superheroes there. Fantastic. CDS watch. Exactly. Maybe we need a command so that, I don't know, the more A's you have in watch, you know, the more things it looks at to check whether things have changed to restart. I'm quite cool. Hey Vivek, hello to you in Bengaluru. Once we've installed CDSDK, that's it. Okay, so this sets up a container with everything you need, with all this stuff in it. Okay, and also the beautiful thing is, you've also not only got the container definition, but you've also got this sort of thing that tells VS Code that how to use this container. Okay, so back to basics, SAP cap dev container. It tells you where the Docker file is, which is the file we've just looked at. But it also, oh, I've got horrible spacing there, sorry about that. It also tells VS Code what extensions to install. Now, if we go down here, install Visual Studio Code from code.visualstudio.com, it will also tell you or recommend some extensions. So one of the reasons for using VS Code is because there's a CDS language support extension that helps you a ton with developing CAP services and CAP applications. We'll be using that and looking at that. So it'll give you linting, it'll give you hints, it'll give you formatting, color coding, all that sort of stuff. Okay, that's that. Okay, so that's why that's recommended. ESLint is a more general sort of linter that will lint JavaScript. Okay, linting is basically, finding issues and saying, oh, by the way, you should do this and don't do that and that's wrong and bad practice, etc., etc. So so Arif is hammering these in here, hoping to get one of them. That's fantastic. Yes, Arif, CDS Watch, CDS Deploy as well. I think that's arguably a development kit tool as well. So exactly. So CDS Watch is what I was sort of aiming for or thinking about, because it's a developer, it's something you do as a developer. I want to watch this thing, or and have the CAP server restart automatically, because I want to see the effect of my changes as I'm developing as fast as possible. The documentation, the CAP era documentation, talks a lot about this sort of tight development loop cycle thing, which is brilliant. So it also installs, it also recommends ESLint. So Abhijit, I think Docker Desktop is something new now, as earlier it was not part of okay, so let me be clear. Docker and Docker Desktop is not part of the CAP project. This is my recommendation, my personal DJ recommendation for you if you want to play around with this. You don't have to use Docker. You can install all the tools. You can install all the tools as normal. So you can, as in, where's the list here? Node.js, the NPM package CDSDK, you can install Git, you can install SQLite, and so on. Right? And you may also want to install other tools that help you more generally with development, like the watch command, or I don't know, can't think of anything off the top of my head. You don't need Docker Desktop for CAP at all. It's only if you want to tread as light as possible on your own machine and also partake of this sort of shared experience where we're all working in exactly the same environment. Okay, that's all. You can develop CAP without Docker, without containers at all. Okay, just let me be clear, Abhijit. Yeah, does that make sense? I'm just conveying this as the simplest way and the most light-footed way of starting. So in here we can say, in this dev container.json, I would like in my container that we connect to from VS Code this extension, the CDS language support, the ESLint extension. If you go, for example, to ESLint here, what the heck is this name here? Boimer VS Code ESLint. That is because, there we go, there's ESLint. If you have a look at the actual technical name, that's the name of the actual extension. So if we go to Humao REST client, there. If I put that there, will this work? Probably will do. Let's have a look. Bang, there. There. That is also REST client there. That's the REST client, and so on. And SQLite viewer, okay, fine. There's the SQLite viewer, and also Rainbow CSV to color code, you know, to color different columns of CSV when we're looking at CSV. Pathy, exactly. So Pathy asks a brilliant question: is BAS enough instead of all these tools? BAS is enough in that, but in fact, yeah, in that the Business Application Studio. Let's go there. Let me go to my trial account. The Business Application Studio is available to all folks having a trial account. Okay, Abhijit, brilliant, no problem at all. This is exactly what I love, and I want you to do this all the time. Abhijit asks a brilliant question, okay? It wasn't obvious to Abhijit, or to maybe other folks as well, so ask the question. Fantastic, 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 fantastic. Okay, instances and subscriptions, I can't even say it. I've got a subscription to the Business Application Studio in my trial account. You can get a trial account as well for free, and you can get access to the Business Application Studio. So let me go in and answer that question from Pathy, because I think it's really important. So let me just create a new dev space. So I can say CAP B2B, for example, full stack cloud application, right? In fact, let me make that full screen. You can see here that the full stack cloud application dev space gives us all these predefined tools, and we can also choose some additional extensions. If we were, for example, to want to develop a CAP service with an SAP HANA Cloud backend, we might want to install some SAP HANA tools. We won't do that now. We also have a code on that, by the way. We won't do that now. We'll just create this dev space. In fact, I should have pressed that button before talking anymore, because it takes a few minutes to do that. So let's remind me. I don't need that one. Let me delete that one anyway. So Pathy, remind me in a couple of seconds to come back here and see if the dev space is started. But meanwhile, we'll go through. So that, finally, can anybody tell me, and again, lots of people will know this answer, but you know, that's the whole point, right? Can anybody tell me what this is all about? Forward ports 4004. I'm going to wait for a second and tell me in the chat what that means. By the way, while I'm waiting, I've got this box out. One of the very early amazing friends of Hands-on SAP Dev, excuse me, Mr. Ronnie Sletter, developed some amazing stickers. So we have the original Hands-on SAP Dev stickers for your laptop. So in fact, lots of folks have these, and we've also got some new stickers, relatively new stickers, based upon, can anybody tell me what that computer is? Based upon this amazing PC, home computer, whatever, with Hands-on SAP Dev. And it says 10 learn, 20 share, 30 grow, 40 go to 10. There's a history behind that, why that says that. So, and also, we also have lots of these developers.sap.com stickers. So here's the thing. Oh, I've also got some badges as well. Look at that. /H hobble mode in ABAP. And what's this one? Eat, sleep, code. Eat, sleep, code, no repeat. I don't know why it's no repeat. Anyway, eat, sleep, code. If anybody would like me to send them through the post some stickers, I used to say, send me a direct message on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter anymore. So instead, find me on LinkedIn and send me a direct message on LinkedIn. And then we can chat, and you can give me a postal address to send the things to. I'll send you a few stickers. It might take a while for me to get to the post office because I'm obviously on a boat. But I'll send them, okay? Doesn't matter where you are in the world, I'll send them. So let me know, okay? So you'll find me on LinkedIn, I'm sure. So there we go. Okay, so we've got some answers here. K Steeler says, forward the internal container port to the external service. Perfect. That's a beautiful, succinct and perfect answer from a Docker container perspective. So obviously when something is listening, it's bound to a socket and listening on that port 4004 in this case, inside the container. You can't, from your actual PC, my Mac OS machine here, for example, I can't connect to that socket. I can't go there. So this is saying expose that port 4004 to the host machine, to my Mac OS machine, so I can, in my web browser, Chrome, go there, okay? And Arif says, by forwarding port 4004, you can access the running application in your web browser. Exactly right. Helmut, you can find me on Mastodon as well. Exactly. Send me a private message on Mastodon if you want as well. In fact, Mastodon, there we go. That's where's me? How do I go to my profile? Ah, there we go. There's my profile on Mastodon. There. So yeah, I've that's DJ, by the way, me. I've moved away from Twitter and I'm now on Mastodon. I encourage you to join Mastodon. And Helmut, you can tell people more about your amazing server on Mastodon if people don't know where to join and everything. So there we go. We don't need that. We don't need that. But the key thing is 4004 is a very CAP specific port. Okay, it's just a randomly selected port by the CAP's BDFL, benevolent dictator for life. It could be any high numbered port, but Daniel Little chose 4004. Maybe next week I'll tell you why he chose 4000. I think some people know, I think I've said this before, but it's a very interesting non-technical reason why he chose port 4004. So for example, you might have a local web server listening on port 8000, doing things, whatever, what's the default port of Nginx? I can't remember. I seem to remember that Ruby on Rails, I used to program with Ruby on Rails, and that default port was like in the 3-something series, 3000. Anyway, doesn't really matter. But 4004, when you see 4004, that's sort of CAP's default local port. Okay, so let me get to the place where just register, I will let you in. Yes, but Helm, I think, did you try and put a URL in there? I'm not sure. The URL didn't appear, so let me put the URL in. Is it saptodon.org? There we go. That's saptodon.org. I'll put it in there. Bang, there. Maybe it filtered out or something. I don't know. So there's Saptodon. You can create an account there. So Helmut is very kindly running that for us. So this thing here, if we now go here, let me close that. Oh, it's running. There we go. So going back to Parthy, you didn't remind me. Come on, Parthy, pay attention. Just one more moment. Your development environment is starting to open, about to open. So what we can all do here, let me just do that here as well. What we can all do is go to CAP B2B. Again, try not to use Git because I don't want to require to install Git. We can say download zip, okay? And you can download the zip file, which should download these files. Download zip. I've already downloaded it there. And then I've also, there it is there. Let me clean that out. Okay, so now I can say unzip. Let's have a look what's in it first of all. And you don't need to use a command line tool to do this. You can do it with a a normal GUI zip thing if you really want to. But all it's got is exactly the content of what's in that Git repo. So I'm going to say unzip that, and it's going to unzip it into a directory called capb2b-main. So if we have a look now, cd capb2b-main, what we've got in there is the README. But if we look at all of it, in fact, let me show you in a normal thing, because this is a back to basics. There we go. Scratch capb2b-main. If we go in there, and then I don't know why I can't set this as a setting. Can I set this as a setting? There we can show the hidden files, the ones beginning with dot, and we've got those two files that we looked at there. Then once you've downloaded this zip file, okay, so you can go to where is it again? Go to go to there, which is CAP B2B. Where there? CAP B2B. Fatih, hello to you in Istanbul. Hello, hello, hello. Go there and download it, unpack it, and then start up VS Code. So, in fact, I'm going to close VS Code, start up VS Code. Okay. Now, one of the things you will need in VS Code is the dev containers extension. Let me go there, dev containers, there. Install the dev containers extension so that, okay, so that you have access to this thing down here, right? It goes like that. If I click that, we have all these different facilities to open remote resources. But all I'm going to do for now is do the simplest thing that could possibly work. Let's get rid of this extensions thing and say open folder. Okay, I use the word directory all the time. VS Code uses folder. I think a lot of SAP literature uses folder as well. That's maybe a, I don't know, a more Windowsy thing. I don't know. So directory, folder, same thing. Okay, open folder. Now I'm going to open that folder. Okay, that directory, cat b2b-main. Now, what does it say? It says here, the folder contains a dev container configuration file. Reopen folder to develop in a container. Reopen in container. Okay, so what's happened is VS Code has opened that directory. It's seen the README file, but it's also seen this well-known, don't need that one, this well-known directory name called .devcontainer. Okay, it's actually now an open standard, by the way. Containers.dev. Amazing. Oh, there's so much stuff to learn here. And what that's done is it's recognized, oh, there's a .dev container directory here. Let me look in there and let me offer the user, DJ, the ability to restart or reopen that directory so that you're working inside a container with that directory attached. Okay? So now, because in the container definition, if we look in dev container here, I've got it to install curl, git, and SQLite 3. Let's just try to see curl. There it is. Git. There it is. SQLite 3. There it is. So we've now got all the tools inside the container. Now I don't know whether I've got curl. I've got curl. Obviously, I install curl everywhere. Git. I've got git here as well. But you might not have SQLite 3. I've got SQLite 3 there as well. Okay, fine. But that's me. You may not have any of those things on your actual local machine. That's the whole point of doing this in a container. So you don't need to install it on your local machine. What else have we got though? What else have we got? The most exciting thing, we've got the result of this thing here. We've even got Node. Let me go here, right? We've got Node. Good morning, Javier, and welcome, old friend from the live stream. Fantastic. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So we've also got Node. There we go. We've got Node 20, just as our definition, our Docker file definition specified. Okay, there's that variant sort of, substituted. Not only that, npm list global. So I've said, show me the packages that are installed globally. And look, we've got CDSDK, PNPM. I've no idea what that is. Maybe it was installed because CDSDK needed them. I don't know. But the key thing is, we've got CDSDK installed. So we've got everything we need. Now, oh, volume up, please. Oh, right, okay, volume up. I'll move this microphone here. Is anybody else? Maybe try your volume, BIS-M, as well. But people, let me know if the volume is no good. People, let me know if the resolution is no good. The old friends of the channel will know that I want you to tell me if anything wrong, if I can do anything better. So I'm going to move a bit closer to the microphone. Let me know if that's better, BIS-M, but also try and turn your volume up too, and see if that helps. Oh, my coffee's gone cold. Ah, drat. Anyway, so we've got everything. Now, the moment of truth. PNPM is a mono-repo thing for NPM. Thank you, Nico. See, I knew Nico would know. Volume is good. Thanks, AP. Volume is good. Loud and clear. Daniel, oh my goodness. So, no pressure, but this always happens, right? So Daniel is one of the many superheroes in the CAP team. It's like, oh my God, I better not say anything wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. But the thing, that's better for us, right? If I don't know what I'm doing, we can find out together. So, the drum roll, somebody give me a drum roll. I'm not sure how you give me a drum roll in the chat, but the drum roll thing is that in this container, let me do this, right? Here is my macOS machine, right? If I say CDS, command not found, CDS. CDS is basically the command line tool that you will use for developing your CAP service, your CAP app. does everything. It's amazing, right? We're going to be discovering all the things about CAP through the magic of the CDS command line tool. Okay, you'll see it actually here. There we no. If we go back to there, go to get started. We're going to hopefully before I stop when I stop rambling, right? We're going to do CDS init bookshop. Okay, 10 minutes. Right, we've got 10 minutes. I haven't got CDS on my local Mac machine, but I have got CDS on in VS Code because I'm inside my container. Oh, thank you, Padurara. Sorry, Padurara. Thank you, Padurara. Excellent drum roll there. So we now have the power of CAP at our fingertips. So we can now start. Also, let me know in the chat if you already have done or you're planning either now or between now and next Friday when we're going to carry on with this. Okay, this is going to be a multi-episode series, and that's why I'm deliberately allowing myself to sort of ramble a little bit and make sure we cover all the ground as we're moving very slowly, because this is like almost not quite but an open-ended series of episodes. Okay, this is for you and me to find out together all about the basics of CAP, right? Fantastic. Thank you, AP, as well. So let's go to here. So if we go to Capire again, Capire, get started. We don't need to go through Jumpstart development because that's all about setting up the tools, which you've done already. And this also tells you about Jumpstarting. In fact, let's do this because we want to explore this documentation page. CDS init bookshop. Now, let me make that one smaller maybe. And let me move, I know my head's over there, but that's probably fine, isn't it? Oh, by the way, ready? I'm going to move my head to the bottom, top. Oh, by the way, again, everybody give Nico a round of applause in the chat for these awesome scenes. So I can, for example, go to secret. I know I'm not going to type anything secret here. I can go for a coffee. I'm back. Amazing. So thank you, Nico, for all that. It's fantastic. So CDS init bookshop. But before we do that, let's say CDS init -- help. Okay, help is your friend. -- help, and this gives us. There we go. Let's move that across here. No, it's a bit too small, isn't it? Let's go back and make it a bit bigger and just scroll up and down. So what are we doing with CDS init? Okay, because CDS, the CDS command line tool, does a lot of things. It, for example, will do a one-time activity like initialize a project, which we're doing here, but it will also, when we give it the right command, subcommand let's call it, it will also start up and run an actual CAP server. Okay, I'm using the word server instead of service here. Oh, I thought you were giving yourself claps there, but that's a thank you, isn't it? Yeah, nice one, Nico. So here, what we're saying is CDS init bookshop initializes a new project in the folder /project. Okay, so it'll take CDS init bookshop and it'll create a new folder. I'm going to use, I don't like using the word folder, but I'll use the word folder because, get with the program, DJ. In the folder, call whatever you say, with the current working directory as default. If we don't do anything else, that's what it's going to do. We're going to play around with these add features in a minute, okay? But we can go from 0 to superhero. Oh, Louise, thank you for asking that question. So Louise is saying, I'm a little bit confused. Sorry, you are running VS Code inside of Docker Desktop. No, what I'm doing, but that's easily what somebody might think. I'm running VS Code on my Mac machine. If I scroll through the apps on my Mac OS, I'm running VS Code, I'm running a terminal, I'm running Chrome, I'm running Streamlabs Desktop for this live stream, I'm running Slack because Slack. So I'm running VS Code natively on my Mac OS computer there, right? But the VS Code itself is connected to a container image. Okay, if I go to here, you can see there's a container called Keen Banach, and it's got this VS Code. So it's basically, in fact, I'll show you here, it's easier. Docker container ls, Docker container ls, There. So that's this thing here, by the way, this sort of nice display of containers, images, volumes, and networks and everything. That is called Lazy Docker. So that is that one. Let me make it smaller so we can get it on one line. That's Lazy Team, Lazy Docker. The other container that's running is the container that VS Code started up when it saw the .dev container directory in the folder in the directory opened. And what VS Code did is create a new container. That's the container it created there, based upon which image? The image that was described in the dev container JSON. So that's the container, that this is the Docker file itself, but the dev container JSON says, create a container based on the information in that Docker file. Okay, does that make sense? Perfect. I've got to say, I was wondering about whether this would be a little bit of a bumpy start, but once we started in containers, then everything we can do, we don't have any vagaries or weirdness. Oh, I can't install this on my machine, or oh, this is not working, I've got the wrong version of Node or whatever. We all have the same version of Node, we all have the same version of NPM, we all have the same version of CAP, blah 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 blah, all the same experience, right? And it's exactly the same. Oh yes, here we go. Where's the oh, it's here, isn't it? There, get started. So Parthy, was it Parthy that asked about this? So I've got a dev space. If I open up a terminal, there we go, user, CDS. There we go. We've also got CDS. CAP's everywhere. CAP is everywhere. So we've got CDS there as well. So if you want, you can do it in a dev space on SAP Business Application Studio. We've also got, because the dev spaces are pretty cool. You've got Git already. You've got curl. So you've got all the tools there as well. Have we got SQLite 3? Yes, you've got SQLite 3 as well. So you could do it like this instead. In fact, before we close off that idea, if we go to here, you could also in GitHub open up a code space. In fact, I just opened up a code space based upon this repo, Redesign Potato. What a brilliant name. So let's just let that run as well. So you could do it in a GitHub code space as well. And it's all the same, right? It's a container. So that is, oh, no, where is it gone? I've just closed it. That is a container. Where is it? This is a container. Look, it's a code space, and it looks like a dev space in Business Application Studio, because that's exactly the same thing, right? Okay, so there we go. So this is on GitHub. So once we get terminal, once it starts up, opening remote and everything, it's all the same thing. It's all in a container, right? So there we go. So we can do that. So if let's do that, right? So let's close, open screen, clear the screen. So CDS init bookshop. Let's do that and see what happens, right? So one of the things I want to do is read through all of the log lines, the output, so we understand everything. Adding feature Node.js. So if we CDS init help, there, add one or more features while creating the project, okay? And by default, it will create, because we're sort of running it in a Node context, I guess. But anyway, it will create or add this feature, Node.js. Okay, so if you wanted to create a Java-based project, you'd say CDS init bookshop --add Java. Okay, and there's all sorts of features here which we'll look into over the course of the next few episodes. It's amazing. It's amazing, right? So what's that done? Okay, it has created a directory called bookshop. In there, it's created the triumvirate of directories: app, serve, and DB. I had a conversation with, I think it was Daniel actually. It's like, it's so unfortunate that the names of these mean that they're not in the order my brain thinks of them, right? So the final thing, and we'll look at these directories next week, but if I say CDS watch, which is a CDS DK subcommand, okay, what happens, right? CDS watch, startup, but there's nothing there, right? There's nothing for it to serve, right? No models found, and we'll look at the details of what this means and what we can do. In fact, let's do one final thing. Split terminal. Let's open up another terminal. So we're still watching here. If we say CDS add --help, we can see that we can add things to our current project. So if we say CDS add tiny sample, this is all you need to have a little bit of a taster, right? Add that. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. Bookshop, CD Bookshop. Get in the right directory, DJ. CDS add tiny sample. What? AppDB, data, CDS model. See, I'm in the wrong directory here as well. That was a bit of an annoying thing. Bookshop there. So let me say do this. RMRF. Last thing, DB star serve star. Right, now we'll start CDS watch. We've got no models, and I'm in the right direction this time, DJ, idiot. Now I can say CDS add tiny sample. Check it out, what happens here. So let's do that, move that down there. All this beauty, look at that. All of a sudden, it finds stuff that the CDS add tiny sample has done. It's given us a little bit of a data model, books. It's even given us some data, my bookshop books, Wuthering Heights and Jane Eyre. It's even given us a service definition. We'll look into what this means. And it also means that we can now go to localhost 4004 and we have, without lifting a finger hardly, a fully functioning v4 OData service. There's the metadata. Oh my goodness me. So let's stop here. Amazing comment from K Steeler. You can use the CLI tool to automatically add app router. Oh my goodness me. Oh yes, you can CDS add help. There we go. Check it all out. Look at all these things you can add here. Oh, amazing. So next week, we're going to dig into what just happened. Okay, so between now and then, get yourself set up either in Business Application Studio in a dev space, or clone this repo and set up a where is it gone? I don't know. Set up a thing. Oh, there we go. So this is on GitHub. Look, CDS, bang, done. You can do it there as well, or do it locally in VS Code and Docker Desktop or Podman Desktop or whatever. See you next week, same time, same place, Friday. Thanks for joining, and see you soon.